Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today I want to talk about something that's a little bit different. It's not going to be about tech, and it's something that I feel is important to me, and it should be important to you, and that's human rights. Now, when it comes to human rights, there's an endless amount of stuff that we can talk about, but right now we're going to talk about police brutality, specifically in the black community. There's also going to be a lot of stuff that I missed, so if you have any information you want to let people know about, make sure to leave them in the comments. And if you don't know too much about it, make sure to read the comments and the description and pretty much everything about this video so then we can all learn together. Anything negative in the comments, I might separate that and put that in the description, but most likely it will be deleted. This is not a video for that, and I have no issue going through all the comments and deleting the negative ones, if needed. Hopefully you guys can stay civil, and let's get started. Speaking off the cuff isn't really too difficult for me, but when I'm recording, it makes it a little bit difficult for me to talk, so there will be a lot of stuff to talk about. But for this, I took the time to write down what I'm thinking about and what I want to talk about with you guys. In a way, it shows the privilege that I have, like being able to just sit down and talk. This also allows me to be more prepared and have info, which is a statement in itself. But why are we even talking about this? The treatment of the black community hasn't been the best since, well, forever. It's more than just the treatment of black people in regards to the police, which needs to be talked about. Systemic and systematic racism, which are different by the way, are both very much alive and need to be reformed. The issue in this country and this world starts with really the treatment of people that don't look white. I say this because ultimately that's what it's come down to. I'm not saying this doesn't happen to just black people, because it does happen to other people of color, but the focus right now is the treatment of black people, especially when confronted by the police force. With this said, people of color do experience a different type of treatment in general, often explained by the term oppression. Whether we are talking about systemic racial issues within the workplace, educational institutions, or even the banking systems, oppression towards people of color, especially black men and women, has prevailed in many institutions for centuries. There is an endless list of how racism exists in communities, like profiling, tokenism, and colorism, just to name a few. Racism is not something people are born with, but more of a learned behavior, and certain communities of color may face these realities at a younger age than white people. It makes sense, seeing that we all go to school and we are all taught the wrong parts of history, especially in US history. This country was built by African slaves, we know that, but those books do paint a picture that this is what they came to America to do. This thought happens every day. Let's take for example people thinking that cleaning crews will clean every mess you do, like it's really their job, when in reality that's not the case. It's little things like this that trick people into really thinking that the Black Lives Matter movement is a debatable subject. We have parents and grandparents that were raised during different times, all with different ideals. Sure, if a grandparent acts or sounds racist, it isn't going to be the same as someone walking in the street supporting the Confederate flag, but their misinformation should be corrected. We are all learning, and it is perfectly fine to teach people that what they were taught is a bias, and that they should rethink their opinions. This includes, but isn't limited to, the terms or phrases with underlining agendas behind them. For example, black and white. Throughout life, we are taught that these are just colors and colors are symbols, but we are also taught that black is dark and bad, while white is light and good. If something is blacklisted, it is not allowed, or in my line of work, something that is subject to fraud, be lost, or stolen. Whitelist means that it is clean and allowed. We all accept that these terms are how they are, but they are a seed planted in our mind to eventually grow into a negative idea or stereotype. Don't let that seed grow. I'm not saying that we need to soften all the corners, because things like whitelist and blacklist are harmless if there's no association to humans. There are words and phrases which we call racial slurs. I'm not going to bring any of them up for obvious reasons, but there are many slurs that have changed over the years, some having little to no meaning in the past, but now have strong and rude meanings behind them. If you know those terms, that's fine, just don't use them. The use of slurs never helps anyone and only causes pain and anger. Now back to the current issue on hand, well, it's not that current. Police brutality isn't new. In the United States, it has been happening for many, many, many years. It may seem like there is or was a temporary decline over X amount of years, but media outlets will purposely or accidentally shape news to make it seem like everything is getting better. It's not. The phrase police brutality is somewhat universal, applying to everyone who is a victim of police violence when unwarranted. However, there has always been a huge gap between black and white people when it comes to police brutality, with the chances of black and non-black people of color being at higher risk of death or major injury. Again, everyone is capable of being a victim of police brutality, but the black community, in the public eye, has statistically experienced the deadliest side of it. There is an endless list of black men and women that have died because of the abuse of power that police are given. Breonna Taylor and George Floyd are two people that come to mind when talking about the situation in 2020, but they are added to the endless list of people wrongfully killed when the police attempt to protect their community. But this goes beyond police brutality, which is the talking point, but not the only issue out there. Being born black, especially in America, puts you below first place regardless of what you do. Just like I did not choose to be a white male, these people did not choose to be born black. Yet society treats them as if that's true. I've been criticized and experienced some issues because I am a white man in America, but none of that matters because my life was never endangered because of it. Black people are not treated equally, giving them a higher chance of being put into areas that have lower education, less job opportunities, lower income, higher drug and crime rates, and most of all, a lower chance of being successful, all because of the color of their skin. One of the most obvious examples is apartheid, but even with anti-discrimination laws, systemic racism continues. Situations like this generally don't sit well with humans, regardless of their skin color and how they were raised. Generally, this treatment will lead to criminal activity. This criminal activity in the wrong eyes leads to generalization or stereotypes, which do not help any community. Take the United States. There are 330 million people in this country. It would be impossible to form a stereotype for a group of people that live in every state of this country and have it be accurate. And who is to say that that stereotype or generalization is true? We all want to believe what we see online in the news is true, and it can be, but it's not reality. White communities will often portray black communities in a bad light, often forgetting the systemic and systematic racism exists throughout the job application process, loan application process, and college application process. This flawed way of thinking leads adults to push these ideas into younger minds, which often don't realize that it will change the kid's life and thinking until it's too late. Take my work for example, a real-world situation. Without giving too many specifics, I've seen every person that's broken into my store and stolen from me. Now, what did they look like? Well, 70% of them looked white and 30% of them looked black. Stereotypes in the media lead us to believe that it should be the other way around, but facts prove otherwise. So are white people the problem? Yes and no, but not in the way that it looks. Now, we can't take my example too seriously, because it's a small sample size and it is rounded up, but it should really make you think of how stereotypes and associations can be dramatically wrong, and that in the end, we're all the same people. It doesn't matter who we are or what we look like. If we want to steal, we will steal. But if someone takes this information, they can use it to paint a picture that is completely wrong. Look, the issue is police brutality towards black people, but what does that mean for us, and how can we change it? There are lots of things you can do regardless of who you are and what you look like. If you have time, speak. Raise awareness of this issue and protest. This can be done anywhere, whether you have a following or not, and I'll try to list some other ways you can speak up in the description. Be safe. I wouldn't recommend breaking things or looting. With this said, small businesses aren't the ones you should be attacking. This will affect a few people and make them mad that they're spending money when it doesn't need to happen. If you do see small businesses that were targeted in past protests, contact these people and see how you can help. In theory, you would want to target large companies that affect the livelihood of the people around here. There are many underlying issues, like the treatment of black people, that try to make them less likely to succeed when compared to white people, but the police are killing their people, not just hurting them. Attacking stores and taking things that would make it harder for people to survive makes sense, sharing how it feels to be at a disadvantage when trying to just simply live. Again, I don't support it and I'm not telling you to go out and do it, but I'm hoping that the looting does have a message and that people understand what that message is. Don't just go out and loot because you feel like it or you want some free stuff. If you don't feel comfortable doing any of those things, there are some other things you can do from the comfort of your own home. If you see a family member or friend getting angry at the situation at hand, explain to them why this is happening. These people are fighting to be heard and seen, while the people controlling the country and world just push them off to the side. So talk to your friends and family and make them understand that being racist towards a community is not the right way to live. There are many petitions you can sign and donate to, and all of those will be listed in the description below, and some in the screen right now. There will also be an Amazon link in the description, and with every purchase you make, I will receive a commission. Generally 1 to 4% depending on what is purchased. I know some people aren't a fan of Amazon, but I will donate all of my June earnings to the most recommended charity to support the cause. And so far the amount is looking pretty good. Make sure to list some charities in the comment section, and at the end of June I will choose and show you guys on my Instagram how much and where the money will be donated. And if you can't do any of this or don't have any money for this, I will list some videos that are monetized that support the Black Lives Matter movement. I will also donate all the money that this video brings in through monetization, so make sure to turn off your ad blocker and share those other videos as well. Also, becoming a YouTube premium member will bring in more money even though the ads won't play for you. This is what I've been told, and I'll edit this part out if that proves to not be true. There is so much more that we can do, but having a civil conversation with someone that opposes this or your ideas is another way that we can just get back to common ground. All of this does mean that things will change. Now, what should you expect? This depends on who you are and where you live. You may see protests, you may see violence, you may see looting, you may see the opposition becoming stronger, and you may see more police brutality. People have and may continue to die from protesting, but this should not be a reason to hide. We all need to fight for what we believe in, whether it's wrong or right, because we are humans. As humans, we all deserve the right to live, the right to speak out and show the world what is happening. This movement is not about who is the loudest or who is more powerful. It's about speaking up and giving people a voice that don't have a voice. This is about using that privilege, if you're white, to stand up for those people that don't have that type of privilege. Don't expect this to end. It may die down, it may be solved temporarily, it may even seem like we're all at peace, but we will never be at peace until justice is given to those black men and women who are targeted by racism. Clearly, it is obvious that not all cops are bad, yet it looks like they aren't treating black men and women the same way. So this brutality may continue to happen, but remember that this is a fight worth fighting for, and we all need to come together to get some real change done. This is not about politics. This is about basic human rights. No color of skin should be treated differently. This may not be fixed in 2020, this may not be fixed in your lifetime, but things will change. Some say that this change started when slavery was abolished, the election of Obama, the killing of Michael Brown, or even the killing of George Floyd. Either way, this change has started on its path, and it's up to us to allow the right change to happen. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to be safe out there.